Good morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Presence of Light with Charlie Riverman Bergeron. I bow to you today on this Christmas Day Eve or Christmas Eve day of 2021 as a special day for me to be here and share with you a story of my life. And I don't do this very often, but it's a memory of 30 days, 30 years. In some worlds, it's probably 30 days, 30 years at 30 days, that I think will put some hope in the hearts of those who hear this for themselves. Good morning, Valerie. Merry Christmas. So, as some of us in the Southern Hemisphere are celebrating Christmas, this is Christmas Eve day here in the Northern Hemisphere. And for me, it's a special day, not because it's Christmas, but because of what transpired in my life on this day 30 years ago. But I'd like to begin with Merry Christmas, Margaret. Bless you. Bless you, Julie. So, as we begin, I wanted to talk about the Magi who come and visit the baby Jesus on Christmas Eve. It's always been a highlight in my life to know that there was that magic, that power that attracted, that the light of Jesus or the presence of Jesus attracted these people to come and bring him gifts. And although most of us didn't understand when we were young what those gifts were, it was the idea of gifts that was implanted in our heads as children. At Christmas you would receive gifts. Little did we know what that produced in our families. And for some, it was happiness, and for some who had no money, it was sadness. And so we took that day and that evening as a special moment in our lives. Now, I want you all to just bear with me as I go through this because it's just a personal story that I share, but I don't share at this kind of a forum as broad as this is going to be broadcast. So the Magi, as we know, came bearing gifts, and the Magi come to us bearing gifts, but we don't know the Magi, we don't know who they are, we don't see them, but we receive gifts. And sometimes we say, where did that gift come from? That's a miracle. It's a gift. It's a miracle. And gifts and miracles are very intertwining. And so basically what it was the symbol of that the world was awaiting the birth of a new light. And these magi were aware of it. And that light was the presence of Jesus. It was a human being. It was light coming in a form of a human being that had no limitations. It could be the light it truly was. And many of you who follow me, I talk about the peace and light and love that we are. But we have all these limitations. We have all of these screens to move through and all of these doors to open and things to go through in order for our light to shine. But that same light is the same light. The light doesn't change. We have the capacity to tap into that light. And the new light is us. It's not going to come again through one being. It needs to come through all of us. And that's the message today. So the Magi story is offered us expectations and joy, and when you see everybody gathered around and the gifting, and it's just like a party, a family, and it's happiness. The promise really is uh, being saved from what we perceive. And that's the gift and the promise, that we will be saved from what we believe. What are you perceiving right now about the world? Can you see and have expectation and joy about the future? We've been going through this disease period, this COVID period, for 2 years now. I've had COVID symptoms for over a year and a half that just won't go away. I could sit and be horribly depressed about this. It's not that depression doesn't come in, but it could stop me. It could fill me with hopelessness. Light dismisses hopelessness. Light dissipates fear. This is what we are to embrace. If anything, I can ask anybody to embrace this Christmas, be it Christmas Day today or tomorrow, is to find the light, not only in the day, but in each other. Look for that light in each other. Without expectations, don't put any labels on it. Just see where the light is, because this is what the gift of the Magi really was. They were coming to this being of light and saying, thank you for being here. Thank you for coming and being present. And we want to do that within ourselves. We want to bring the light into ourselves. So I may be preaching right now, which I can do very easily without getting lost. And I'm not going to look at your comments because I'm going to get distracted. So the question is, what are each of you perceiving now? In this day and age, many of us are separated from friends and members of our own families due to this virus. And the virus has caused not only illness and death, but a question of belief, a question of what do we believe about the virus, about each other. And it has created a destructive pattern for us to be loving and kind to each other, even within our own families. Many of you can't go and join your family because you haven't had a vaccine. And many of our vaccinated members of our family are criticizing us as being stupid and being, ridiculous. This has all created a separation. And in separation, there's darkness. That's the essence of darkness, is separation. The space between each sun, each star, which is another sun, each one of those, between them is their darkness. Can we separate all the stars with that darkness and live in that darkness any longer? I'm going to say we've witnessed it. We know what it feels like, and it's time to change our ways and come back into what is it going to take for me to listen to somebody else who's completely in an opposite position to me and be able to accept that. Because within me, I know that I'm complete, I'm whole, and I am light. I am the light that the Magi brought gifts to. I am that powerful a being within my heart. We all have that ability. And we all have ability to communicate through that light and with that light. And we need to just tweak ourselves a little. And so this is what's happening. We're separated from friends, members of our families. Uh, we question belief of everything and everybody now. We're in this place where we have fact checking and all this other stuff to prove whether, you know, I read an article the other day. The only reason there was fact checking is because everybody started speaking the truth. I thought that was quite appropriate. They didn't want to. Nobody wants us to speak the truth. They don't want to hear anybody speak the truth. What is the truth? We don't know anymore. Am I speaking the truth? I'm speaking my truth, but it may not be your truth. So, how do we come back together? We have to come back through the light. The light doesn't have any words, it's light, it's energy, it's the energy of love, it's the vehicle of love, the vehicle of what I call the divine love. And so, all of what we've been going through for the past couple of years has been destroying our ability to love each other and be kind to each other. We can spend billions and trillions of dollars for infrastructure and rockets to the Mars, and we have human beings starving to death on the face of Mother Earth. What's important? Where are our values now as a collective? These are things that the light is going to correct. And the light isn't just one person anymore, it's all of us. So I offer you to think about that. Where is the light and love in you? And I'm going to share with you now that this is a turning point right now, that each of us are at this turning point in our lives. And many are going to get it quick, and many of us are going to take a little longer to shift our conscious awareness and focus for the benefit of all rather than the benefit of a few. We have the opportunity right now to choose something different. So I was going to write a lot this morning about this, and I said, no, I can't because I don't want it written out. I'm going to just explain to you what happened to me. And how did I become this person who can see life in the way that I do? The stories of Jesus as a healer have been known throughout the history of the Bible, and not as a religious practice, but as who he was. Um, Many people go to churches and priests and people of that nature to be healed, and they want the power that's coming through them because of their closeness or their connection to God to be the healing agents for them. Yet we also have that within ourselves. If we didn't have it within ourselves, those people will not be able to tap into it and ignite it for us to use. And I say that because this is what's happened to me. But it wasn't through another person. It was through a surrender of my life to something that I had been told all my life, but I never really understood, and I still don't understand. and that's the word Jesus. We've been taught that as a being, as a human being, but it's so much more than that. So my story is 30 years ago, this day, I stopped drinking. I was an alcoholic. Not for a very long period of time. I had bouts of it, but I had lost my family. I'd lost my house. My ex-wife was a very cruel person, and she destroyed me. She promised she would. I stayed with her because I was fearful of that. And in the end, it all collapsed because that's what she wanted. She had another boyfriend, and she accused me of having a girlfriend. So, this is how relationships go. And I started drinking because I was left with nothing. My whole life, everything that I had, all the money that I made, all the house, everything gone. My daughter taken away from me, not taken away, but she was in college. But her mother told her so many lies and just guilted her to death to the point where we couldn't communicate. I haven't seen my daughter in 30 years, or, yeah, well, at least 30 years, almost 30 years. She won't talk to me. I have a grandchild I've only seen for probably 20 minutes as a baby, as an infant in the crib. It's a sad story. And people say, well, why don't you do this and why don't you do that? And what I realized was in the beginning, I couldn't take it. I couldn't deal with it. I lost it. I was helpless, hopeless, and totally destroyed. She did what she said she was going to do, and it worked. I had met my beloved wife right now, and I was part of her family. And 30 years ago in October, because of my drinking, I had a motorcycle accident and I died. And for those of you who know about my near-death experience, and I came back. And at that time, my wife and I were separated because of my drinking, because I didn't want to destroy her life, because I knew I was destroying mine. And she invited me back to her home with her family for Christmas. This was, 2 months after I died on a motorcycle accident. I didn't stop drinking. The motorcycle accident did not stop me from drinking. I drank less, but I was still on that sort of death wish um, mental attitude. And this may resonate with some of you. It may resonate about somebody in your family. Parts of your own journey not as perhaps dramatic or perhaps even more dramatic than mine. But I bring this up today because on Christmas Eve, when I went back to her home and I wasn't stopped drinking, I ended up fighting with her children, waking her mother up. And at that moment, I felt so worthless that here I was invited back through love and trust, and I blew it. So as I was going to drive 100 miles drunk and leave the house and destroy their Christmas, the pain in my heart was unbearable. And I stood on the steps going down. It was a split entry house. I looked up and I said, Jesus, if you're real, if you're really, truly real, either take this from me or take me back to where I was when I died in the motorcycle accident. That's how bad we can be. That's how miserable and out of sync with who we truly are we can get. And for those of you who have been there in that rock bottom place, I honor your presence for being here right now. And I hope you don't carry that with you anymore. And I want to share with each of you this Christmas that you don't have to. That you have the power to overcome all of the pain, all of the suffering, everything that's appearing as wrong in your life. Because that's what the Magi saw in the infant that was being born, that he was going to be the person who could do that. And his message for us was that if I can do it, you can do it. I'm not trying to preach, I'm just trying to tell you a factual story that appeared about my near death, my recovery. On this day, 30 years ago, tonight, I will stand on my stairs in my house and say thank you. Thank you for hearing me. Who was it that heard me? Was it Jesus? Was it God? Was it me? The Course of Miracles is real. Go get a copy of the Course of Miracles or read it online. Read just the principles of miracles. And I want to tell you that miracles do happen. And that this story that I share with you took a lot for me to actually say this live to the world. But I want to share with you that it took me 30 years to get here. And I can't wait to see where I'm going to be in the next 30 years. And I say that at 72. I'm planning to be here. This is Christmas. It's not about all of the lights and fancy things. It's about coming home into the true self. Jesus was a representation of the true self. It was the true self in flesh. You may not like what I say. It may vary from your teachings. You may have degrees in those teachings. And I honor every one of you. But I want you to look for the miracle. I want you to look for the miracle that you need in your life. Because that is what Christmas has to offer us. A point of deep inner self-reflection. And as the stories of Jesus being a powerful healer, a person of compassion, if we are the suffering, that part of him in us, we're all created to do the same. We have that power. And it's time now, in the coming year, to really look deep within ourselves and find that power within us to restore us, even if it's just to balance, bring us back into balance and tune out the fear, the anger, the hatred, the greed. Know that it exists. We can't deny it, but we don't have to play in it. We don't have to walk in it. We don't have to live in it. Brings us to the story of the power within us, the power that each one of us have individually. And if we can tap into that and then connect it with each other, we become collectives of that energy. And the power of one becomes the power of one to the 10th, to the 20th, to the 30th. My Christmas wish for you all is to dive deep into your soul, your source of unconditional love. And bring forth that infant in you that's asking to be born again. Not born again in a religious sense, born again as the beautiful divine self that it has always been. I'm going to make it short, as I'm going to make it for half an hour today. I says I'm going to try to not belabor this. The miracles that happen in our lives are the magic. Magi. You know the word magi in magic? Were they magicians, or what really is or are magi? Perhaps they're just people who understand something at a higher level that isn't quite visible. It's beyond a certain level of understanding. That magic really isn't something paranormal, or it isn't all that amazing. We all have the power to create magic, because magic, like the Magi, is basically just being thankful. And when we're thankful, and when we're grateful, truly, from the depth, the deepest part of our hearts, magic happens. May this be a magical Christmas or holiday, whatever you celebrate at this time of year. It's all the same. What we're celebrating is the rebirthing of who we are in the darkness, in the womb of darkness. It's a northern thing, the southern hemisphere. You have the brilliance of the summer, which is amazing. I can't even imagine Christmas in that environment. But bless you all, because you get to see the fruitfulness of Christmas, the gift, the presence of, out of the darkness comes the light, out of the winter comes the summer. I love you. Thank you. I respect you. I am you. You are me. We are unity. A unity beyond our human understanding. But in that unity, magic is just like talking. It's how we speak to each other. Bless you all. May your day, your week be filled with light and love. And let me read this from A Course in Miracles. This is one that is appropriate for this, is Miracles enable you to heal the sick, raise the dead, because you made sickness and death yourself, and can therefore abolish both. You are a miracle, capable of creating in the likeness of your Creator. Everything else is your own nightmare and does not exist. Only the creations of light are real. Merry Christmas. We'll see you next week. Bless you all.